Good evening, I am Ibrahim Sani and this is Market Talk. CIMB Group, one of the largest banking groups in the Southeast Asian region, has been hugely successful in the corporate and investment banking space. In fact, it can be argued that they are also quite relevant and prominent in the consumer or retail banking sector as well. But if there's one area that they need to conquer, it is the area of commercial banking. According to MIDA, 97% of Malaysian businesses are of the SME sector. And serving the needs of this banking industry would do well for any financial institutions if they want to achieve greater control in the sector. Unfortunately, they still struggle behind other banking giants in serving the commercial banking business. Is this a threat or is this an opportunity? Joining me is Yong Jiunn Run, the Group CEO of CIMB'S commercial banking business. Welcome to the show, JR.
Thank you, Ibrahim, for having me this evening. All right, so, if you actually look back prior to T18, what our Group CEO has coined is that, commercial banking business has actually very much local country strategy based in every country. Since the forming of the group commercial banking, what have actually assembled together is a very much, we have a regional operating model, acquiring all the best practices of every country, putting together. And since me coming on board, we have recalibrated the business. And I believe that we are now ready to serve our customers better and also ready to actually gain and achieve more traction in the business.
Okay, but it still doesn't answer the core issue, which is why the straggling position behind the two other big banks, in Malaysia at least. Which
I
is
felt that actually this question is that something that we should not be too fixated with the position, the market positioning. Because if you look at commercial banking business, it's not about just acquiring this market share and acquiring the business. This has got a lot of value proposition that we need to put into. That's why, we are now ready to launch BIS 123, which I'll share with you a bit later.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's stay on BIS 123.
Yeah, okay.
BIS 123 was launched last week. I was there, and it was quite an impressive statement to say that it is a one-stop solution and for business banking customers, or commercial banking customers. What differentiates BIS 123 with your competitors?
Various. You see, many times my competitors, when they actually start rolling a product out to market, it's just very single-mindedly, it's just about the product features and its competitiveness, or for that matter, its capabilities in performing some certain things. What we have here is actually BIS 123 is a string of, it's a platform that actually string together three propositions. One is actually about, the first proposition that we have on one is about simplicity and ease. What we have here is actually talking about product features, like our competitors. But on two, we deliver the whole solution. That's a completeness that actually stretch from end to end, from cash solution to financing solution, which actually can be financing on residential properties, industrial or commercial, and as well as a business focused solution. And the third one, let me finish the third one. So the third one is about the one-stop center. So what we have is now, what differentiates us is truly the third piece. That is the dedicated call center that we have, the microsite, and none actually, in the market, any of our competitors actually have these two.
Okay. Of course, BIS 123 is rolled out in Malaysia. Is it going to be rolled out in other regions as well?
Of course. The thing is that we have two key markets. Actually, for group commercial banking, the key contributor of these two markets is actually Malaysia and Indonesia. So the plan here is actually to roll out to our key markets of Indonesia, which actually is equally important. I must share with you is that, Malaysia and Indonesia together actually contribute under 90% of the whole group commercial banking revenue.
I'm sorry, let me understand that statistics better.
Right.
So Malaysia and Indonesia contribute under 90%?
Under 90%. So these are the two key markets. We must get the value proposition right in rolling out our service. How are we going to deliver in terms of services, customer experience, product features, and documentation, fast turnaround, everything in complete.
Okay. The thing with CIMB Niaga is that it is a roughly a pure play for consumer banking business. And not just that, the retail banking business of CIMB Niaga is predominantly on the upper mass affluent, even mass affluent outright. The mass market seems to be a by-the-way thing, at least for the consumer banking business of CIMB Niaga. What I'm trying to say here is that the universal banking proposition of CIMB Niaga may not necessarily include, as of now, commercial banking business. Is this somewhat correct?
No, I think I need to correct this perception. You know, we have a small business, SME business, in Niaga, and this is actually one of the key contributors to the whole Niaga performance.
Okay,
yes.
Let's talk about transaction banking,
Yes.
which is a core pillar of your business. Transaction banking is key. In fact, it's crucial for the growth of the sector. What is the proposition for transaction banking coming in from CIMB?
It's very much, you know, aiding the. We work very closely together with transaction banking, and very much actually is aiding the commercial banking in delivering the customer's value, and in delivering the three key propositions that we have under the BIS 123, and what we have devised together with transaction banking is also to grow our not just cash, it's also about trade. If you actually look at, you know, back to our annual report, you will see that actually trade content is pretty low, but we have actually driven a lot of, together with transaction banking, you know, work on a lot of sectorial focus. All right, that and also on supply chain. With that, actually, we are seeing very strong growth.
Okay.
And in terms of trade finance, in the first queue.
Okay, with trade finance, there's also another area of concern, at least for banks that are doing commercial banking. Do you think that the trade finance business has plenty of room to grow, or you've basically reached some sort of a saturation level there?
It has actually a lot of room to grow, because we are seeing Malaysia being exporting countries, and also, you know, receiving a lot of investment from overseas, especially the Chinese. So in Singapore, we have been very successfully in plugging into the China offshore trade. I think in Malaysia, we should be actually, you know, even in Indonesia, we should be experiencing a growth arising from this. And also, if you look at across ASEAN, we are also seeing improved economic integration and collaboration and cooperation among the ASEAN countries. So what we are lacking here is that, you know, we have to work on our regional cross-sell, our regional proposition.
Speaking about regional integration and regional proposition, Vietnam seems to be a key market that CIMB Group as a whole is trying to penetrate. Is this moving away from the core markets that you are already in, famously known as the MIST market, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand? What's the story on Vietnam?
Vietnam actually completes the ASEAN, our ASEAN reach, all right? But it's not going to be a key focus. You know, what we're going to do for Vietnam is that, you know, we're going to grow it organically, working and also working very closely with our regional counterparts from the regional countries for clients that actually look to invest in Vietnam or already have operation in Vietnam. So we look forward to support them, and we also work together with our consumer banking, corporate banking counterparts in servicing the customers who are looking to invest in Vietnam. So that is very much the direction that we are looking at.
The biggest challenge a banking group as large as yours, CIMB, is the cross-integration between the multiple pillars of businesses. We'll get back to that in a short while, but when we come back, we take a look into how CIMB plans to integrate their universal proposition. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Market Talk. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Today we have the head of CIMB Group's commercial banking business, Yong Jiunn Run. JR, let's focus back on where we left off. The biggest challenge that a banking group as big as yours is integrating the various pillars of the business, including that of integrating the investment banking business and the retail banking business. Do you think that commercial banking provides that opportunity for CIMB Bank to actually grow and integrate these different pillars together?
Certainly, because together with, let's look at consumer banking. Together with consumer banking is that we are actually serving the both same customers. Whichever I mean, we also have, what I mean is that the consumer banking customers of ours, incidentally, are also the commercial banking customers of ours. So, you know, their banking experience must be, the delivery must be the same. So if they are not happy with the consumer end, they will not be happy with the commercial end as well. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And
so this is the end-to-end that we are talking about.
And of course, the lingo we're looking at here is, of course, enterprise banking, where there's a lot of props, smalls, berhads, and the likes. Again, this is an area where development banks, for instance, are taking quite an advantage in terms of capitalizing in this market. But pure commercial banks, the big ones, the top 8 or 9, they're still seeing some room to grow in this space. What's your opinion on this?
My opinion is actually I'm pretty excited on the young space, you know, the young startups. What we are talking here is the entrepreneur, the sole prop and the partnerships. That's actually how they started. So in our value proposition, or in the way that we go about serving them, is that when we look at our commercial banking customers, we look at them from a very young startups. We actually go about segmentizing the business. So in the segment is that we have the young company, we have the growing up companies, we also have the matured company. So we sort of divide them into a small, medium, and big corp, or some banks would call it, or large corp, we will call it. So how do we integrate here is that, you know, at the beginning, they probably require, back to transaction banking again, they probably require a lot of transactional activities. So, you know, what we have offered here is online account opening. We also have e-alert for their business activities. We also are able to provide that instant account numbers when they actually complete their online application with us. So as they actually grow up, they evolve. They felt that they require working capital. They aspire to own a certain industrial property to start their operation. Again, you know, the segment strategy, we bundle that. We have bundling strategy for the medium, every segment. So that allows for that as well. And actually, when they evolve to become a large corp, that's where, you know, they aspire to be a tycoon, right? They aspire to become a listed entity. Again, that's where, again, you know, we work together very closely with our private banking counterparts, as well as our CF counterpart, and realizing their ambition, their dreams.
The core business, of course, of CIMB, particularly commercial banking, is not just to be a banker, but to be a partner as well to your clients.
Yes.
There are some very worrying stats that I just pulled out from the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, the CCM, where 4 out of 10 businesses go bust in the first year of operations. It could be because of various reasons, but one of the core things that I want to point out is perhaps they don't have the necessary partner to build that business with them. Do you see your venture, your business, to be part of that partnership program? We've seen this in the consumer banking space, where retail bankers, they don't only provide banking services, but they double up as client consulting services. Is there an opportunity for commercial banking to grow their consulting business in this regard?
Yes. All right. Very much, actually, we have a dedicated relationship manager. You know, it's very much a one-stop shop. You know, to use that, to make use of that relationship manager to interact with across all the advisory services, the other products to support customers' needs.
Okay,
yeah, we have
so you segmentize your business into that 3 basically big buckets, large corps aside, the small and medium enterprises. Much of them, as you say just now, you are very interested in the young'uns, the young individuals that are trying to build a business together with you. And much of these group of people, they're into the startup segment, they're into the fintech segment. In fact, CIMB Group has just hired the chief fintech officer, if I'm not mistaken, How do you plan to integrate your business with the business of FinTech of CIMB Group?
FinTech actually is, I mean, it's really very broad now. I mean, you look at it, you know, there are many areas to actually come around that. One of which actually, you know, is to derive, how do we actually come about supporting the young startups is that, you know, we can, we sort of like can embrace alternative credit scorings. That's something actually we are looking forward to develop to better service, to understand this segment.
When we come back, we'll take a look into the Islamic banking proposition of the commercial banking business for CIMB Group. Don't go anywhere. Watching Market Talk. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Today we have the Group CEO of CIMB Commercial Banking Business, Yong Jiunn Run. JR, you are not just the boss of the commercial banking business, you also look at both the conventional proposition as well as the Islamic proposition. Where do you see the growth of Islamic banking in regards of the commercial banking business?
Definitely, there is a lot of room to actually continue to grow the business. Both from the accounts and the deposit as well as to the funding. So very much actually, you know, so far we are quite fixated on sort of like working capitals, capital in terms of investment financing proposition. What we should come around is actually, you know, in terms of more working capital, granting trade finance, as well as operating working capital to service the Islamic segment.
The trouble with growing Islamic business, not just for CIMB Group, but many other banking groups in this country, is that the businesses of the world, they are rather agnostic in terms of the proposition. They focus rather more on rates and the completion or the completeness of the offering. They don't go too much into the core essence of the Sharia proposition, the way, say, for instance, you know, consumer banking business would have to go through. Do you see this as a possibility for you to jumpstart the Islamic banking proposition, not just for your pillar, but of course for the CIMB business as well?
It's actually, I felt that actually very much awareness and the ability to continue to educate the user. What we have here is we have been doing that, and coming around is we are seeing that the market receptiveness actually increasing because they view actually Islamic proposition as an alternative source of financing. So they are pretty receptive of that. They are also wanting to learn about it.
Another aspect of your business is, of course, the insurance business, or for that matter, takaful business. Do you see the better integration between the takaful proposition or insurance proposition to your clients?
Still early days, I find that. But again, we are also working around it. Now that we have our partnership together with Songpo, we are coming around it and looking to roll this out.
Finally, let's go deep into your competitors. You were mentioning early on in the interview that Biz123 has a leg up against the competitors because of its one-stop solution. Do you think that this would be an important area for you to mark the targets that you intend to achieve? What do you plan to achieve, say, for instance, by the end of this year? What are the targets that you can share with us, with the public?
I won't say actually it's very much about target. Biz123 is actually very much a platform. So it's a journey that we'll undertake together internally as well as externally with our customers. We look to year-end it's not about year-end, it's actually an evolving and a continuous process that we look forward to continuously widen our product offerings. Also complete the solutioning as well as looking to put more fintech proposition into our Biz123.
One conversation that we haven't touched is, of course, the Singapore business. And we all know your background. You are from Singapore. What opportunities do you see CIMB Group has in terms of the commercial banking business in Singapore?
We have actually a very small reach in Singapore, just with 2 branches. We have actually did pretty well prior to the recent slowdown in the oil and gas segment. We felt that that's a bit the market. I felt that the market has sort of reached a little bit of saturation point, as we see that the export, the factory activities are also slowing down. So what's in store for the Singapore markets, especially the SME segment, remains a challenge. So you know, we have actually done very well to grow in Singapore in growing together with the larger size company, but with the smaller guys, again, we don't have that reach. So the area that we play to win. That is very much the middle segment.
Okay, so with that in mind, let's wrap this interview up. What do you think can we see in the Malaysian consumer banking business, not just for the banking sector, but in general, the SME sector? Are we going to be expecting greater trade for the country? Are we expecting slower trade? Is the Forex going to be a problem for many of our businesses in this nation?
There will always be continuous challenges, you know, in terms of FX, in terms of trade, you know, whereby the economy goes through up and down, arising from external factors. But what I actually observe here in Malaysia is there are plenty of opportunities to create young entrepreneurs. The fact about Malaysia is that, you know, you have a good source of supply of labours, land, and that actually allows activities, factory activities, trading activities to be generated. It's pretty exciting as Malaysia actually plug into the world.
If there's one thing that I'm slightly upset about, it's the fact that much of the SMEs right now, all they see is funding and ways to get loans. Is there a way for us to break this paradigm shift and try to get better propositions instead out there, instead of trying to get loans or funding?
We have, of course, a private equity business actually looking and working with them as well. Very much actually, it depends. Whether they can break out loans-centric requirement, that actually depends on their ability to tap into other sources of fundings. There are also cloud fundings that's available to them. I think the market is getting more dynamic. We are seeing more sources of funding actually coming across.
Jared, it's a pleasure having you on. Thanks for having a conversation with me today. I've been speaking to Yong Jiunn Run, the CIMB Group Commercial Banking CEO. That wraps up this edition of Market Talk. Send us all your feedback on all our social media platforms. Follow us there at 501 AWANI. Also, listen to this interview on your podcast. Simply search for Astro AWANI wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Thanks for watching and goodbye.